Nagraj. He is currently working as assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry, Anna University, Chennai. Earlier, he worked as a scientist in charge at Spices Board of India for 5 years in research and development and also in quality control laboratory. He has finished his PhD in organic chemistry at IIT Delhi. He has also done his MSc Chemical Science at Pondicherry Central University. He has published 6 papers in international journal and also participated several international events in India and abroad. He has attended several conferences and delivered lecture as keynote speaker and also undergone 12 training programs. His area of research interests are isolation, synthesis of natural products and evaluation of their biological activities, carbohydrate-based natural product synthesis, enzyme catalyst organic synthesis, green chemistry, medicinal aspects of spices and spice products.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in Polymer Science. In this lecture today we are going to see about waste management, how the waste going to be managed. Content of today's lecture is introduction to waste, and there are some conventions like Basel conventions, kinds of waste and EPA regulations, classification of waste based on their properties, magnitude of problems of waste and impact of waste in Indian scenario, waste disposal mechanisms, what should be done to waste management. First, the definition is what are waste, also known as rubbish, trash, refuse, garbage, junk, litter and art. Waste is nothing but is unwanted or useless materials. In biology, waste is any of the many unwanted substances or toxins that are expelled from living organism. Metabolic waste such as urea and sweet. So, these are all the waste which is arising from various activities. According to Basel conventions, definition of waste: a substances or object which are disposed or indeed to be disposed of or required to be disposed of by provisions of the law. That is the Basel conventions. Disposal means any operation which may lead to resource recovery, recycling, reclamations, direct reuse or alternative uses. So, this is what definition in Basel convention during the waste disposal method. Basel conventions also mention that the Basel conventions on the control of transboundary movement of hazardous waste and their disposals, usually known simply as Basel conventions, is an international treaty that was designed to reduce the movement of hazardous waste between nations, especially to prevent transfer of hazardous waste from developed to developing countries or least developed countries. That means the Basel Convention is the international treaty which is created in order to stop the waste material should be transported from one place to other place, like one country to other countries. Normally, the most developed countries, whatever waste material which is generated from their country, it will be dumped to the least developed countries. So, the people doesn't know what are the causes or problem will come out of the waste material. They will undergo very severe problem. In order to stop those things, the Basel Convention was started, and the role of Basel Convention is to stop migration of the waste material from one place to other place, especially most developed nation to least developed nations. It doesn't, however, address the movement of radioactive waste. In Basel Convention, they have not mentioned anything about radioactive waste, which is a very dangerous waste. The convention is also intended to minimize the amount and toxicity of waste generated to ensure their environmentally sound management as closely as possible to the source of generations and to assist least developed countries in environmentally sound management of the hazardous and other waste they generate. So, the meaning of this, wherever the hazardous or waste is produced, very nearby place you have to have effective waste management setup, so that whatever waste generated you can effectively use it for or use some method to destroy or decompose or do something to stop the waste material to produce any kind of problems. The convention was opened for signature on 22nd March 1989 and entered into force on 5th May 1992. So, that is 1992 5th May the Basel Convention was started, which is produced by the United Nations 36 divisions. Waste are materials that are not prime product, that is product produced for the market. That means waste material which is the not a prime product, that means that is not a main product. After usage whatever exists, that is called waste material, for which the generator has no further use in terms of her own purpose of productions, transformations or consumptions, and of which he wants to dispose. That is the material, means whatever material after producing or transforming or consuming, whatever remaining exists, that material is waste material. Waste may be generated during the extraction of raw materials, the processing of raw materials into intermediate and final products, the consumptions of final products and other human activities. Residual, recycled or reused at the place of generations are excluded. So, this is the Basel Convention says the definition of waste materials. So, what kind of waste we are generating? Kinds of waste, normally we can classify two big or two broad category. One is solid waste and liquid waste. Solid waste, waste in solid forms, it may be produced in domestics or it may be in commercial and industrial waste. Solid waste may be comes out from domestic or industrial, whatever may be. Examples of some of the solid waste are plastic materials, styrofoam, containers, bottles, cans, papers, scrap, iron and other trash. These are all comes under solid waste materials. In case of liquid waste, waste in liquid form, example domestic washings, chemicals, oils, wastewater from ponds, manufacturing and other sources. That means whatever in the liquid form of waste which comes under liquid waste category, that may be used in or industry used waters, chemicals, oils, etc. So, according to EPA regulations, as a solid waste means it should obey some points which are includes any garbage or refuse which comes out of municipal solid waste, and sludge from wastewater treatment plant, water supply treatment plant or air pollution control facility. Garbage material normally it will come from municipality and it may be a sludge. Sludge can be water treatment, wherever you do the water treatment process you will get the sludge material which also belongs to solid waste material. And other discarded material, whatever material we are throwing it, all the material. Solid, liquid, semi-solid or contained gaseous materials from industrial, commercial, mining and agricultural operations and from community activities. So, whatever you do all this activity like industrial process or commercial process, mining, agricultural process and human activities like a communal or community activities will produce waste material. So, we can do the classification waste again broadly in two category based on their properties, biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Biodegradable one can be degraded environmentally using microorganism. Example of these biodegradable material are paper, wood, fruits, etc. Whatever naturally available material, all are biodegradable in nature. Whereas in case of non-biodegradable, cannot be degraded like a plastics, bottles, old machines, cans, styrofoams, containers and others. So, whatever you can look at all the materials which is man-made material which do not undergo biodegradable. So, synthetic material or artificial material which do not undergo biodegradable comes under non-biodegradable materials. Again further classifications of waste according to their effect on human health and environment. The waste can be further divided based on their effect in the human health, not only in human health and the environment also, living organism like microorganisms, plant, whatever may be. If it is harms anywhere, that is going to be again further classified like hazardous waste and non-hazardous waste. Hazardous waste, a substance unsafe to use commercially. That means that material which is not safe to use, it will create some kind of problem, which are includes industrially, agriculturally or economically and have any of the following properties like ignitability. Ignitability means it will easily catch fires, those materials. Corrosivity. Corrosivity means it can corrode the material. If you have some liquid in the drum or some bottles, if it is corrodes those things, then it is corrosivity. And reactivity and toxicity. It is a highly reactive materials or it can produce toxicity. Those material belongs to hazardous waste. If it is obey like ignitability, corrosivity, reactivity and toxicity. So, rest of the material comes under non-hazardous. The substance safe to use commercially, industrially, agriculturally or economically and do not have any those properties mentioned above like ignitability, corrosivity, reactivity and toxicity. These substances usually create disposal problems. So, this is what we are going to study in details. Again the classification further of waste according to their origin and type, where the waste is comes from and what type of waste is comes from. From there also we can have some kind of classifications like municipal solid waste, that means the waste arises from municipal. Solid waste, that includes household garbage, rubbish, construction and demolition debris, sanitation residues, packaging materials, trade refugees, etc. are managed by any municipality. Whatever waste arises in municipality, whatever the municipality office handling the waste, that comes under municipal solid waste. And this next category, which is biomedical waste, it may be solid or liquid waste, including containers, intermediate or end product generated during diagnosis, treatment and research activities of medical sciences. So, biomedical waste is one of the dangerous waste. Why? Because whatever waste comes out which contain lot of infectious disease or fungus or bacteria, virus, so many things, it will create a problem. So, which is one of the dangerous waste which comes out of the clinical places. Next broad category, industrial waste, liquid or solid waste that are generated by manufacturing and processing unit of various industry like a chemical industry, petrochemical industries, coal industry, metal, gas industry, sanitary and paper, etc. So, these are all the industry which can produce either solid as well as liquid waste, which can produce it in the large quantity of material, which can be classified, comes under, belongs to industrial waste. Another type of waste which is agricultural waste, the waste generated from farming activities. These substances are mostly biodegradable. So, whatever waste generated from agricultural activity, that is comes out of from farming, that can be easily biodegradable in nature. So, we no need to worry about those waste. Why? Because all of them undergo biodegradable. Next waste comes under fishery waste, the waste generated due to fishery activities. These are extensively found in coastal estuarine areas. That means fishery, the fishing activities, catching fish and whatever waste material which is generated from fishing activities, it can be mostly available on the coastal area. Next one is very important waste material, radioactive waste. The waste containing radioactive materials, usually these are byproducts of nuclear process. Sometimes industries that are not directly involved in nuclear activities may also produce some radioactive waste. Example, radioisotopes, chemical sludge, etc. So, radioactive waste is very difficult. Nuclear power plant or any other place, the radioactive waste can be generated. The disposal of radioactive waste is very difficult. Why? Because which keep on emit the radiation like alpha, beta, gamma radiation, which is danger to all the living organism, not only plants, microorganism, human being, etc. So, handling and disposing safe method for radioactive waste is a still challenging one. It is very difficult to make a suitable method for waste disposal of radioactive waste. Another important recently emerging waste is e-waste, like electronic waste generated from any modern establishments. They may be described as discarded electrical or electronic devices. Some electronic scrap components such as CRTs may contain contaminants such as lead, cadmium, beryllium or brominated flame retardants. So, the material which contains electric waste, e-waste, so whatever we are using, mobile phones, computers, UPS, electrical wire, all comes under e-waste, which is very difficult again destroying or disposing e-waste, one of the recently very big problem as a whole nations are world. Source of waste, here it may be comes from household waste or it may be from the which belongs to household waste, or the waste comes from industry which is commerce or industrial waste. Magnitude of problems in Indian scenario. So, what are the problem we faced using this waste material or waste product, especially the per capita waste generation increasing by 1.3% per annum. Every year because of the waste generation we are generating 1.3% at each per head. That means a huge number of waste overall we are generating. With the urban populations increases between 3 to 3.5% per annum. Urban means city population, they are increasing 3 to 3.5% waste in every year, whereas yearly increases in waste generation is around 5% every year annually. India produces more than 42 million tons of municipal solid waste annually. You can imagine the huge number of waste, municipal solid waste, 42 million tons produced from India. Per capita generation of waste varies from 200 gram to 600 gram per capita per day. The average generation rate 0.4 kg per capita per day in 0.1 million plus towns. So, that means the waste what we are generating from India is a very huge number. Impact of waste if not managed wisely, if we are properly not managing the waste, what are the problem will happen? The waste will first step affects our health. What will happen if you dump all the way all over the waste, whatever waste which is produced in all the industries and household waste and medical waste etc., that will create health issues. That is first thing is, and it will affect our socio-economic conditions. Once your health is affected, automatically the economic conditions also will affected. Suppose a huge number of people doesn't have a good health, their economy definitely going to be very poor. So, the entire nation's economy will get affected, and also it affects our coastal and marine environment. Suppose whatever waste we are dumping in the coastal area and marine area, the system which exists in the marine ecological system and micro that that system will get collapsed because of poisonous effects on our waste material. And even coastal region also, if you dump the waste, it will destroy the whatever living organism present on the coastal area, and also it affects our climate. So, if we are keep on dumping the waste, what will happen? It will produce so many gases, toxic gases or poisonous gases, and it will have a role in impact in our climate. And the waste is accumulating in earth atmosphere as a result of human activities, causing global mean surface air temperature and surface ocean temperature to rise. That is what will happen if you keep on dumping the waste in the earth surface. What will happen? The earth surface temperature will keep on rise. Once the earth surface temperature rise, what will happen? The coastal area, that temperature also will get rise. So, the overall global warming, the possibility of getting global warming gets increased, and also rising global temperature are expected to raise sea level and change precipitations in other local climatic conditions. That means, if the temperature increases, what will happen? The oceans that will get melt, and normally the level of water will increase in the oceans. So, the submersion of islands possibility of getting takes place, and a changing regional climate could alter forest, crop yield and water supplies. So, these are all the problems also may come if you are keeping more waste. This could also affect human health, animals and many type of ecosystem. The entire ecosystem will get destroyed. Deserts might expand into existing rangeland and features of some of our national parks might be permanently altered. That means the desert range will keep on increase if we are not doing any proper method to dispose the waste material. The entire country going to be as a desert over a period. Impacts of waste. What are the impact waste can produce? Some countries are expected to become warmer, although sulfates might limit warming in some areas. That means some of the country automatically feels that its temperature is getting rise over a period because of dumping lot of waste in that particular countries. Scientists are unable to determine which part of those countries will become wetter or drier, but there is likely to be an overall trend towards increased precipitations and evaporations, more intense rainstorms and drier soils. So these are all the problems will get if you dump more number of waste, like evaporation will take place, precipitation may take place, and intense rainstorm and drier soils, etc. That will create a problem. Whether rainfall increases or decreases cannot be reliable projected for specific areas. We can't even predict whether rainfall will come or not come, or increase or decrease those parameter if we have these kind of problems. Impact of waste, again, activities that have altered the chemical composition of the atmosphere. Whatever we are doing, these activities will normally produce gases. That gas will go to the atmosphere, that will alter the change of gas whatever already exists. Suppose some of the gas will be highly reactive gas, it will go and react, it will produce some other gases. So ozone depletions, all these things happen because of producing lot of gases from our waste material. Building of GHGs, primarily carbon dioxides and methane and nitrous oxides. So this will, the three gases will get build up over a period. CO2 is released to the atmosphere by burning of fossil fuels, wood and wood products and solid waste. Whatever material, waste material, if you burn it, ultimately it will convert it to CO2. CO2 is the dangerous gas in the atmosphere. And the next one is methane is emitted from the decomposition of organic waste in landfills. Whatever organic waste means is a biological biodegradable material, undergo degradations in absence of oxygen will produce methane, one of the danger gas or greenhouse gases. The raising of livestock and the productions and transport of coal, natural gas and oil to produce methane, and NO2 is emitted during agricultural and industrial activities as well as during combustions of solid waste and fossil fuels. In 1977, the US emitted about 1/5 of the total global generation of gas. That means in 1977 itself, US made 1/5, that means 1 part in 5 part in the entire world, generating that much gas to the atmosphere. So developed nations already spoiled the environment, and those waste dumped in their country, they want to put it in the least developed nations. Sources of human exposures. Exposures occurs through ingestion of contaminated water or food, contact with the disease vectors, inhalations, dermal. So these are all the way it will enter to our human body. What are the points of contact where it can easily contact? Soil adsorptions, storage and biodegrading, plant uptake, while plant uptake the waters and nutrients from there it can be accumulate, ventilations, runoff, leaching, insects, birds, rats, flies and animals, direct dumping of untreated waste in seas, rivers and lakes results in the plants and animals that feed on it. So you are without treating, you are dumping the waste on sea or river, pond, lake, whatever may be, that whatever living organism, microorganism present on the system, it will get destroyed. So normally waste is a hierarchy, and we have to most favorable option and least favorable options. Two options are there. Waste hierarchy refers to 3 R's, normally reduce, reuse, recycle. So these 3 R's will give waste hierarchy. Normally what we can do, first try to prevent whatever waste, we can try to avoid those waste, and the next step we can try to minimize the usage of those materials, and even if you are using, you can go for reuse the same material instead of buying the new material. So, after reusing, you can go for recycling, you can convert it to some other product, again you can use it, or you can burn it, the material, and you can get the energy from those burned materials, and after burning whatever exists, that can be going to do proper disposals. So, the disposal, energy recovery, all are least favored options, whereas prevention, minimizations, reuse are most favored options. We have to try to reduce, reuse, recycle. These 3 R's are very important in waste management scenario. So, waste management is nothing but minimizing solid waste, minimizing packaging waste, recyclable paper, plastic, metals, glass, wood, etc., reusable textile, leather, rubber, metals, wood, etc., compostable yard trimmings, food scraps, especially vegetables, are belongs to this category. So, waste stream with a step to reduce waste, waste stream without steps to reduce waste. So, there are 2 categories. Make industrial practice more efficiently in order to reduce the waste, minimize packaging for food products, purchase green consumer products, reuse items, recycle items, compost material at home, municipal composting. So, these are all the method can be used for reducing the waste. So, you can look at the picture. By recycling almost 8 million tons of metals, which includes aluminum, steel and mixed metals, we eliminated greenhouse gas emissions totaling more than 26 million metric tons of CO2, equivalent to this equivalent is removing more than 5 million cars from a road for 1 year. So, that much CO2 we are emitted. So, recycling a rate of selected product in 2010. So, auto batteries, which is recycled quite frequently, the percentage is 96, followed by newspaper, steel, yard, aluminium, tire, glass, PET bottles and HDPE. So, almost all the material are go for recyclings, widely used. So, categories of waste disposals: dilute and disperse, throw it in the river, lake, sea or burn it. Basically, this involves spreading trash thinly over large area to minimize its impact. While doing whatever waste we are generating, we have to do it in the dilute form. Dilute form means it is a very small or less concentrated form, so that it will not create any harm in one place, it will disperse to all other place. And works for sewage, some waste chemicals when land disposal is not available. So, use some chemicals to dispose if suppose a land disposal is not available, those case. On the other hand, we can go for concentrate and contains, isolations, waste dumps, landfills. So, instead of giving the dilute waste, it is a huge amount, you can do the concentration. So, you can minimize the quantity during the process of concentration, then you can go for landfill. So, it will occupy only small area, such a way you can do the waste management. Historically, that is how most of the solid waste gets treated. So, concentration is the major process while during this process. Some of the useful options is resource recovery and normally energy recovery, composting is incinerations, vermicomposting or pyrolysis, gasifications, biomethanations or anaerobic digestions. So, these are all useful options. And impact of waste on health, how it will going to impact our health. Chemical poisoning through chemical inhalation, uncollected waste can obstruct the storm water runoff resulting in flood, low birth weight, cancer, congenital malformations, neurological disease. So, once the waste material enter in our body, it will create all these kind of problems in human health, and also it will create nausea and vomiting, increases in hospitalization of diabetic, residents living near hazard waste sites, mercury toxicity from eating fish with high level of mercury, that will cause a problem again. Effect of waste on animals and aquatic life, it increases in mercury level in fish due to the disposal of mercury in the rivers. Plastic found in oceans ingested by birds resulted in high algal populations in rivers and sea, degrades water and soil quality. So, whatever waste present on the either river or soil or sea, it will create a problem in the water as well as the soil. So, it will give a problem to the living organism also. So, what we can do, residents may be organized into small groups to carry out the followings, like a construction of backyard compost pit, construction of storage bins where recyclable and reusable materials are stored by each household, construction of storage centers where recyclable and reusable materials collected by the street sweepers are stored prior to selling to junk dealers, maintenance of cleanliness in yards and streets, greening of their respective areas and encouraging others to join. As a summary, we have seen the introductions to waste and some of the conventions like Basel conventions and EPA regulations, what kind of waste, all these things, and also classification of waste. We have studied it broadly, and magnitude of problems of waste and impact of waste and Indian scenario and waste disposal mechanism, what should be done if waste management, all these things we have studied. Questions, what are waste in Basel conventions? Classify waste according to the environment, classify waste according to human health, what is EPA regulations, what are the magnitude of problems of waste, what is the major impact of waste in Indian scenario, how to do waste management, what should be done to reduce waste. Within this, I conclude today's lecture. Thank you.